All right, we are bringing back our friend Mr. Whistles Go Woo to lolz. He has a new site that he's going to tell us about. We're going to talk a little bit about the Open Championship and, of course, get a recap of Brian's Vegas trip that involved an IV, as far as what I've seen on Twitter. Let's do it.
Does he think? I think he thinks this. He thinks this is a go. Vegas Dave thinks this is a go.
Hot naked girls doing yoga.
What?
Why don't you just win like a man?
Random.org. Type in 1 for yes, 2 for no, and let the DFS gods pick for you.
And I'm absolutely begging you not to dupe us. Please don't dupe us.
David Bergman, a.k.a. Whistles Go Woo. Welcome back to lolz.
Hey, how you guys doing? Long time no see. It's been almost, I think, a little more than a year, actually.
No, I was just going to actually try to Google it to see when you were last on here. But anytime I Google Whistles Go Woo, it's just all the original Bub Rub and Little Sis original YouTube video.
If you connect the words, I think I actually pop to the top. So if you do just Whistle Space Go Woo, then it's a little tough. But if you connect the words, you might actually get me.
No, you're right. I did just locate it. So it was on, last time you're on was May 5th, 2021 with the title, Who is this Whistles Go Woo guy?
Okay.
I will say too, like when you came on, I mean, we kind of cold emailed you. You hadn't done much media outside of the infamous, DraftKings celebration. But I would say now you put yourself out there a little bit more. You did the Chasing the GOAT series. You've done a few other podcast appearances. Kind of what kind of shift have you made where you've been more willing to be public with all this stuff?
Well, I mean, it's been a hell of a ride for the past 2 years, obviously. And yeah, just enjoyed it. I mean, going to live events, I got to meet a bunch of the people. Everyone is super cool that's involved with this. And as you know, my website, as you talked about, the website is launching today. And so hope to talk about that and thought, if I can get my name out there more, maybe I could actually grow some kind of brand, grow a website and see where it takes me. So yeah, happy to be on the show. Thanks for reaching out first time. And thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, we like that you identified the lolz audience as kind of the sick pups that would potentially be interested in your new site. Look,
this is the first show I was on, so Whistles Go Woo.
There you go. Yeah, we're gonna get in to the site here in a little bit. It sounds like a cool concept, and we're gonna ask you more about it. But I do have to hear about Brian's trip to Vegas. Longtime listeners of this show know Brian famously doesn't take too many vacations other than to his lake house. So Brian, give us the report on Vegas. I mean, we did see that RBX 88 dodged you, but how was it other than that?
It's Vegas. It's exactly like you'd expect. I just hung out in the sports books mainly the whole time.
Yeah.
Nothing exciting.
Did you bump into anyone, or were you kind of flying solo?
No, I brought my buddy, but I didn't see. I was looking around seeing if there's any recognizable faces. I didn't see anybody. Nothing interesting happened. Just went to one expensive dinner. We're drinking. Was that Louis the Fifth or whatever?
Oh yeah.
Who bought that? You bought it or someone else?
No, well, it was a free trip, so it was free.
There you go.
But the tips aren't free, so you still got to pay the tip money. And then I was betting MMA, and these guys in front of me. I tweeted this out, and I swear to God, it was actually happening. The manager had the sportsbook operator had to come over and approve their $25K bet on Dos Anjos for the main event. And so of course I'm like, hey, come here. Like, what's going on here, guy? And he's like, we got this. We're just running for this guy. And he was like 60-1 in MMA or something. And then I was drunk. So instead of going like, oh, well, it sounds like you're getting fucking head, Slim. But these guys got knocked out of the main event, and then they were running for this guy, and they legitimately put 25 grand down. And I was deciding who I was going to bet for in the main fight there, and I'm like, well, this is a fucking lock. I got to bet this. And he got knocked out in the fifth.
Good. Were those guys still in there sweating it when
yeah, yeah. And then I went up to him and I'm like, yeah, I just tweeted out, thanks for the tip. I just tweeted out, I guess the source was Vegas Dave, huh? And I don't know, they were laughing. It was fine. But of course I bet 20 times more than all my other bets on that one fight because
you thought you had a little inside edge there.
Got a little inside edge. And so I was like 6-1 going into that too. but by pure luck, I don't know if you guys watched the fights this weekend. I thought the scoring was horrible, and I was just on the lucky side of like all the bullshit calls. And so, anyways, nothing special. Flights were delayed 2 hours both ways.
You get these ordered ahead of time?
IVs. I ordered them ahead of time. I did IV Saturday and Sunday morning.
What time do you have those arrive at? Because I feel like you don't know how tired you're going to be, but also when you wake up, you immediately want it there.
You have to pay extra to have them delivered, although it was free, so it wouldn't matter to me. But I actually went down and went to the spa because then I also got a massage afterwards.
Wow, look at you. What Whistles? Do you have any Vegas trips you go and tie one on every now and again?
Yeah, I just don't go to Vegas. You know, I might appear kind of reserved, but if you put me in a playground like Vegas, who knows what could happen? So I just kind of stay away, quite frankly.
What was the most? Did you guys get up to some behind the scenes partying when you guys were filming the Chasing the Goat series, or is everything that happened we've seen it on camera?
I mean, not everything. I think one night when we were watching Thursday Night Football, I think that was the first night. I think they filmed most of it, but then I was sweating a win for the million that night. It was one of those millionaire nights. And I forgot who, but one of the running backs got a couple yards and then knocked me out at first or whatever it was. And I'm pretty sure I was swearing and screaming like crazy. That they didn't film. But that was pretty much it. Most of it was filmed. We were pretty calm. I mean, there was a lot of filming going on, so we were kind of tired towards the end of the day. One thing that was funny is that the people filming were just like, can you guys not talk about DFS for just 20 minutes? So then we try. 5 minutes later, we were just, I don't know, just went straight to DFS. So that was pretty interesting. But that's about it.
I've heard through the grapevine there can be quite a bit of partying going on at some of these DFS live finals. Whistle.
Have you ever been to any of these?
No, I've given them away that I won. I don't go, but no, it's all just rumors I've heard from inside sources.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people there are super chill. I mean, I've had a lot of fun time with them. I'm, getting to know them more and more. I've been to a bunch in the past 2 years or whatever, and we had a pretty good time. Yeah.
All right. What I heard not so chill stories, but okay. Well, I'll buy it.
Wow.
Not about me, but I don't know. Probably about me. Who knows?
What happens at a DK Live final stays at a DK Live final, I guess. It's
going to be my memoirs.
When you've gone to these events, who has been the person you've enjoyed meeting the most, or you were kind of the most curious to meet them in real life after, battling their usernames in the DK lobbies for so many years?
Yeah, I think Yoda I was most interested to meet because, I mean, you don't really see him in any kind of social, at least not in any kind of media presence, right? So I was super excited to meet with him. We have a little banter going between us, so that's fun. I think he's probably the best of the best right now. But anyway, I had a good time meeting him. This DFS Hofbra King, I met him. He was super cool. I made a mistake of telling him to play more. And now he is playing more. And that's a disaster for me, but that's okay. And yeah, I mean, really, those were some cool guys. But, I met nearly all of them. Need Lunch Money. He's a younger guy. He's super cool from Philly. Yeah, Awesome, of course, has been cool to meet and get to know. Big T, all the guys.
Yeah. What is there anyone out there that you'd still really like to bump into that you're curious about?
So I met Chipotle Addict. I think I've been to events with Papa Gates, but I haven't really met him, I don't think. So it would be interesting to get to know him a bit. Who else at the top? I don't even know. Is there anyone else that I haven't met? I don't know. Oxen Duck I haven't met. So yeah, I'd like to meet that individual. That's it, really. Yeah.
Have you seen the movie The Arrival?
Yeah.
You have to figure out a way to communicate with him, I'm assuming.
Yeah, our show's working theory is that he is kind of post-human, and so we haven't really identified exactly what species he is, but Arrival is kind of our best working theory.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Or Howard the Duck, that movie, one of the two.
You said you had some banter going with one of those guys where, like, Twitter is definitely I would say the most common DFS water cooler. Then you have the sub communities within Discords. Where are you hanging out as far as like DFS water coolers, or are you kind of off on your own island most of the time?
Mostly off on my own island, I would say. I mean, I have a Twitter account now. I do post things very seldomly, and I take a look at what people are saying. I mean, I'll look at Twitter sometimes for weather updates and stuff like this for baseball, but pretty much, yeah, just on my own.
What you said you'll notice things like getting tagged on Twitter. Are there any salacious rumors? Is there anything you'd like to debunk? Like, what's the most common thing you get or you see on Twitter and you're like, that's not true, or that's absurd, or that just really tilts you?
Well, they said I was maybe like an FBI sleeper agent. I have no clue what the heck they're talking about, because why would that be the case? But all right, that's not true. So that's one thing.
Do you know where that rumor originated?
I do not know.
Yeah, no one can tell really.
Yeah, I heard it too. Someone was saying that you were maybe a Fed. I definitely checked around with some sources. I don't remember where it originated, but I definitely have heard that one.
Yeah, so that was the most interesting one. I think when I was recently on the high stakes show on awesemo.com, someone said, have you ever tried to make a lineup while on the shitter like the rest of us humans? I have. So, I think we can debunk that rumor.
Hang on real quick. You did go out of your way to say awesemo.com. Are you boycotting the stochastic name change here?
Oh yeah. So I'll tell you a story about Awesemo. So I've been asking for free gear from awesemo.com for a long time, about a year and a half. He kept on saying, go to my site, buy it. I said, Awesemo. Throw me a hat, a sweatshirt. It's okay. Nothing. Then about 2 days before he changed to Stochastic, I was on the show. And I go, Awesome, hey, can I please get a sweatshirt? He was like, yeah, no problem. I'll send you a sweatshirt. All of a sudden, 1 day later, he completely rebrands the entire thing. So basically, it's a sweatshirt that doesn't mean anything anymore. But Awesome was.
How about this, Whistles? I'm going to let you pick something out right now out of the lolz store here.
Wow.
There you go.
And this is unlike, Stochastic. We will deliver right away when we get off this show. We'll hook you up. So, I mean, do you want the mug? Do you want the hoodie, the snapback? And we got the classic shirt.
Let's go hoodie, man.
Wow. Look at, I give this guy an inch and he goes for the most expensive item. I knew it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll take the hoodie. Yeah. Let's go.
We're gonna get you.
Color's good. Any color's
we'll
good.
get you a hoodie. We'll get you a hoodie. Some of us follow through, unlike some of these other sites in the industry, Dave.
No, but he did come through. He did give me an awesemo.com sweatshirt. So I have that. But now it's Stochastic, so
it's like a throwback.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll wear it to some events,
It's like having a Vancouver Grizzlies jersey. It reminds you of the good times when they were up north.
Right, or like the Hartford, whatever the hockey team was.
What sites do you subscribe to? Let me list them off and then say yes or no. So Stochastic, yes. ETR,
no.
Run Pure,
I have before I go in and out.
SaberSim,
Yes.
Daily Roto.
No.
Am I forgetting any?
Data Golf, but that's more specific.
Data Golf, yeah, that's a little different.
Roto Grinders.
Roto Grinders.
No, I have at times, but it goes in and out. The main ones would be Stochastic and SaberSim.
Okay. All right.
You taking notes, Brian?
No, I mean I've subbed every site except Run Pure. I'm waiting for Big T to give me a free invite to check out the site. I'm holding strong on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think their content is what gets them, get them viewers, right? As opposed to, they have projections and they're perfectly fine, but I think it's really just like their content, their analysis, like that's, more towards the field bettors,
Yeah, handing out winners generally gives you subscribers, Whistles. All right, that's all they do is hand out winners there.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So tell, like, when you launch a site, obviously the industry is like pretty saturated with, DFS content, even projections, even some tools, some stuff's obviously underserved, but what is your thought process of, hey, I want to do something, I want to be in the mix. are you saying I can just do stuff better than what's going on out there, or I need to have kind of a unique angle? Like, talk us through and tee up what you've been working on.
Yeah, so I had several options, I think. I mean, one could have been projections, although you just listed off a bunch of sites that have perfectly fine projections, right? So I don't think, sure, maybe the name would have carried it a bit, but to differentiate there, I think it'd be pretty hard. I could have, actually, what I was thinking about doing was doing an analytics training site. So how do you just do analytics for DFS and sports gambling in general? Everything. How do you read in data? How do you scrape data? How do you build a projection model? How do you optimize the whole
Creating
thing?
monsters, which is Brian's biggest fear in the DFS world.
Right, so I might do that eventually. We don't know. So that was one. That was the second option. Third option was to create a new optimizer. You didn't mention Fantasy Cruncher. I actually don't subscribe to Fantasy Cruncher. I have, just to see what they offer. And it's a pretty good site. I totally understand why so many people in the industry use it. There are things I think that could be improved, but I'd have to make a name, and it's possible. I may do that in the future as well. But then I thought outside the box. I said, okay, what can I give that's daily content to people that's interesting and new? And so this is where the whistlesgowoo.com right now is at, which is basically crowdsourcing projections. So my goal is this. I want to get, I don't even know, thousands, tens of thousands of people, I don't know, to the whistlesgowoo.com. And I want to create a website where, we just get so many people to come. Everybody puts in what they think is going to happen. Okay. And then we can see charts of basically, what people are picking. So if you go down, you can see a little bit more about the site. Why don't I share my screen real quick? I'll show you.
Yeah, because you're logged in.
So give me 1 second.
I haven't got the influencer login account yet. The gift, I give you a hoodie, and then you kind of give me an access to your DFS model. I think is
kind of how that works.
Yeah, I know. I see where we're going here. So basically, okay, so here's the site. Here's the homepage. You can see various things, right? So like this is just a teaser. So this shows you what the crowd is saying about Rory McIlroy. So far I've slightly over 100 people. Still early. I'm hoping to get a lot more people to go. And then we have everything by events. So you can see how it works, about whistles, all that type of stuff. But if you go to events, you'll see all the active events that we have. Occasionally, I'm going to give a cash prize for events because I really want to get a ton of people here. Eventually, I'll have DFS projections so people can just, see how many people we can get and see if that gives us better projections than the sites. But I think, honestly, my goal is just to have all the actual sports book bets here. And what we can do is we can all just go there and pick. So if you go to the Open Championship right now, you see you have about 8 hours till we have to lock. I have a couple questions here, okay? This is just like just a question who's the top 12. But we have which of the following will finish in the top 10? Now, I'm not saying this is what I'm going to pick. I'm just putting in random things here just to show you. I've already put in my picks, so I can switch them, whatever. Then you update and see the crowd. Automatically, you'll get to see an updated view of what everyone picks. So, for example, right now, Rory's at 40, so 32% think he's going to get in top 5. He's really leading the way, and I think that actually coincides with a lot of the sites right now. And just to show you, right? So, like right now, it's 41 to 85. I can reset my picks. And then, if I just change Rory to yes, update, see the crowd, and boom, you got it right here, right? So now it's 43 to 84. So that's my goal, right? I want to do this. So for this, by the way, I'm definitely giving $100. If I can get to 1,000 people, I will give $500 to the person that picks the best. And I don't know, I'll never get to 10,000 today, but eventually I want to get to like 10,000 or something people and really get a ton of people on the site. And so that's the goal.
So is your in game with this? Is this or to like basically front run ownership projections and kind of get out in front of it to inform your own play? Like what level of like providing a service versus, front running ownership projections is this?
Couple things. I think that we can get better projections. So how do the sportsbook make their lines? They come up with some initial idea, whatever. They put it at plus 135, whatever. And then all of a sudden they see the bets coming in. They don't say what the distribution of people is, but they definitely use that to move lines to whatever they want to do to optimize the number of bets that they get on the wrong side or whatever. Why don't we just open up the box, right? Let's let everybody really see what are the picks of everybody. And like, if this really works, then I really think we could have something great here, something where we really get tons of people all the time. We pick everything. We open up. Eventually I want to have it connected to one of those sports books. Okay. So it's like, what will you bet on this side? The money line or whatever it is. All right. And there's just people come, everybody's there all the time. We can discuss, got a Discord channel set up. everything, just total crowdsourcing of sports betting predictions. Open up the box, flip the industry on the sports books, and really try to get us more insights on what people are betting on.
Well, one issue I would see there is sports lines are mainly driven by a few people, and those few people are using syndicates to get down a lot of money, and so like everyone else is pretty useless
So
when it comes to sports betting. And what like I've thought about things like this too in the past, but like, and also no one's betting here too, so not yet. Maybe you can have that in the future, but if you're not putting money down, it could be an issue. And you need to be dynamic, as you know, in all these sports. So like if you have a fighter get hurt or pulled or someone's out, you got to change everything. You got to just delete everything you just did and redo it.
So a couple of things.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Look, like we're gonna have a date slider eventually where you can like filter by date to see what the picks are or whatever. Okay. I think offering some cash prizes, even menial amounts, may get a lot of people there. Also, I plan on having a leaderboard. Okay. You have a leaderboard, then maybe you can look at what those people are picking with their consent, of course, and all this other stuff. I mean, we'll see, right? I don't know if it's gonna work, but I figure we can give it a shot, See, first of all, I'm just interested generally to see if the crowd can pick well. So eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to start picking according to how people are setting up on the site, see if it actually makes money, put it out there, let people know how it works, and go from there. I mean, the site, eventually I can sell the data. That's one way of monetizing also for me. And then also what I can do is I can, maybe I'll put the training classes on the same website, right? Some subscription, you get my training, analytics videos, everything put together. So this is just the beginning, just getting some ideas out there, seeing if people are interested. And we'll see how it goes.
What would be your ideal like distribution of people that come use this? Like in your world, obviously for the sake of your site notoriety, you'd want every household in America voting on this. Or are you actually more interested in a DFS savvy, sports betting savvy cohort that maybe picks better than the average person would in America?
Yeah. So I think another vision for the future would be where there's two different ones, right? So maybe I pay a little bit to a bunch of the better sports bettors that I know. Okay. So Brian, for example, and I could say, hey, Brian, why don't you join these like 100 people? Okay. Let's put these picks. Let's all make some money off the site, whatever. Give you guys a little cut or something like that. And then you can see what, 100 of us are doing. And maybe that's interesting to people. Who knows?
Yeah. You could partner with, there's some other places out there too, maybe where you could share some info. Have you thought about anchoring the data so like you can anchor it to what are the current odds and say, here's the odds for Rory. Do you go over and under this? So you kind of pull in the bullshit a little bit, especially with a small sample size. Something like that makes some sense.
For sure. And I mean, I have a link to the FanDuel and DraftKings Sportsbook right now there, but that's obviously not, I mean, it has to be, eventually I really want like all the bets on DraftKings or FanDuel Sportsbook. I want to just have those exact things on the site, left or right. Yes, no. What would you make as your bet? Yeah. And see what happens. Yeah. And it's good for everybody, right? I mean, I think, who knows how many people think that, are going to bet on Rory to make top 5. I have no idea. I can look at the odds on DraftKings and try to do some applied probability, but we know they play with the odds, right? To try to maximize action on whatever side they want.
Have you looked at FanShare?
I have looked at FanShare.
Yeah.
It's also interesting. Yeah. And in politics, they have a pretty good site called Predict It. Very popular. Tons of people go there. Lots and lots of action. So growing it into something like that might be good. And what they do is they have like the better bettors out there, and they, they sell, they actually own stocks in certain things happening. Then you can sell it to each other, right? So I'll own some odds to Rory making top 5. Then you're like, yeah, that's wrong, David. So then you'll buy it for something or whatever the case may be. So they do that for sports. So they have like prominent predictors, as you say, it's the really known people that actually know what's going to happen. And you get like, for example, if you got the top 100 DFS guys to pick Rory top 5, that would give us a pretty good pick, right? I mean, I think that, so if I get those 100 people to start selling guys to each other or whatever, and us making money off of it, right? Who knows? That's a way to go too.
So kind of, it sounds like you would definitely be interested in like getting a little bit more like of a profile built out for certain people. So you could whether recognize, reward people for being continually good, or to kind of create subsections of your data around specific, cohorts?
Right. And I'm not going to do that, obviously, without consent, nothing like that. That's clear. Okay. But yeah, if people are interested, who knows? Maybe, we could share a little bit. I don't know. Right. These are definitely ideas. But yeah, it's also just from an interest point of view too. I want to see how much it differs from like DraftKings odds and how much better or worse, this might lead us to. Right. And yeah, I don't know.
I think if you let's say you get 10,000 active users and you anchored the number to like Awesimo's ownership, not that you could use their data since it's proprietary, but and then had people vote whether they'd be over or whatever to be over or under, I think there's some value to that. Are you going to have in the user agreement this information won't be shared with any central intelligence agencies?
It should, right? Just to make sure people know
explicitly write that one out, I think.
You're right. So a lawyer just did finalize the terms of service for me. So I think maybe I'll go back to him and say, listen,
got it.
Yeah, you got to make sure people really understand I'm not a sleeper agent.
It seems like you kind of have a mentality too of like, hey, I think there's something here. I don't know where this is going to go, but let's put it out, experiment, see where this goes. Or do you have kind of like in your perfect world 2-3 years from now, like the potential of the site? Like, what does this look like where this site is just a smash? How does that play out?
Yeah, I think being connected to one of the books, one of the big ones, right? One of the sports books, and being the books could also use this, right? They would know what the community was showing the community, and they would know what people are actually betting on their site. So actually, one of the books might, whoever I'm connected to might even have a better opportunity to make even more money, right? Because now all of a sudden they know what the community's doing. They know what they're getting behind their curtain, and maybe they can play that somehow too, right? So I think in an ideal world, I'd be connected to the books. There'd be, some of the really high hitters that agree to share not their own personal picks, but at least be part of this expert pick pool, and then have like the general population pool as well. Having 10,000 people, 100,000 people picking whatever it is, Discord, everyone just talking about what's going to happen, and then putting out their picks there, and having a leaderboard that runs for every single season, every single sport, giving some cash prizes to people, all types of stuff. Yeah. Having it grow, right? I want to have like a community where we just talk about sports picks as a group and try to just see what the masses say, see if that can really do some damage.
I think I could definitely see some value too, as well, just thinking this through. And I know you're spitballing here, so please don't mind the nitpicking, but like you could use the data as an extra variable in your regressions too. Like whatever that was, it could just slightly influence it. And even if there is an injury, it's not that big of a deal. Actually could still be useful. But are you familiar with like what's going on with sports books in America, right? Like they're banning anyone who wins. They're limiting anyone who wins.
Yeah. That's been the classical thing that they would do, right? But fine. Obviously, I think people get other people to bet for them too, and they find ways around those things, right? So yeah, but who knows what could? The people will still want to bet on sports, and they'll want to have that edge, even if eventually the book takes it away. Their opportunity.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about more working with the sports books too. And it's like, dude, they don't want winners, dude.
Yeah, but maybe they can use the information to get fewer. I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay, that's fair enough.
It's more information for them as well, right?
Yeah.
And sure, they won't be, maybe on the surface, it will be annoying to know that there's a site where you actually get the behind the curtain information that they have. I don't know if we can get there, but if we can, but then maybe they can actually add that to what they use to set their lines, whatever they want to do with it, right? Whether they want to, maybe the crowd's horrible on certain events and they can use that for some information. Maybe the crowd's awesome on certain events, so they can, play that in their favor in one way or another. I don't know.
Would you ever try to do something again that would be reliant on like the sharper cohort of people who were giving feedback to stuff? But I'm just thinking like in a given NFL week, right, where people are kind of waiting for the next week's lines to get released. And that's often where there'll be a bad line that you can pick out, right? Because the sports books are a little bit in discovery mode there too, where it's like, could you front run that with your kind of wisdom of the crowd stuff and then try to pick off bad lines?
There you go. That's an idea too, right? So people get an initial look to what people might bet on, right? Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm definitely going to have a huge event for week 1 NFL, by the way. So it's going to be a decent amount of money. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I just think, yes, I want to grow it. I think these are all good ideas. I'm just coming out, right? Just thinking about what to do. I'm not a person that wastes time. I have an idea. I just want to do it. Okay. Even if it's not the most perfect solution yet. And, if it turns out that I only get 100 people a week, okay, fine. This is, whatever. Project closed, but hopefully it catches fire.
Well, one thing that I like, just kind of hearing you talk all this through, that I would really lean into is, like, obviously your biggest challenge is to get people to make your site a stop on their, process. It's like, oh, I'm doing my research, and how do you do that? Like, I think really focusing on like really good leaderboards and streaks and like showcasing the people who are crushing it, because then it's like, oh, I want to go in here. One, you got your prizes, but two, just like having that, notoriety or whatever associated with, your levels of success, I think would be a big part of it.
Yeah. Gamifying the thing, right? I mean, people love that stuff. I mean, people look at the Roto Grinders ranking sometimes and stuff. Doesn't actually give any value. Not that people have to interact with that site in order to get on the rankings, but nonetheless, at least people do look at it, right? So I think,
one thing I was going to do on my site was, because like I said, I've thought about a lot of this stuff as well, is have my ownership projections and basically do what I was just saying and add an extra linear a variable that is adjust as people come on my site and then vote. So you vote and then you see the projections and they're live updating with my projections. While if, it depends on how many users I can get and on there and do something like that. And if you do that, it's something like that, you're going to get a lot of people, especially if it's free, you're going to get a lot of people just stopping by on Wednesday and Thursday, making their lineups, just checking what the free ownership is.
Right. Ownership. Or what if we just had here's my initial projections. Go up, go down.
Yeah.
People just click, go up, go down, up, up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
And
right?
if they're anchored to something in reality, right, however you want to do that, there's a billion ways to do that. You're going to get a much better accurate sample.
So there you go. Yeah. I mean, so we could have a DFS tab. It could be a sports line bet, anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the idea. We'll see. I'm excited to see if I can get enough people. I mean, I'm offering free money. I'd really hope people would just go there for 2 seconds and put in some numbers. But who knows? You know what I mean?
You know what you wanted to do was be here when NFTs were hot. And if you offered an NFT or Top Shot, you'd pick up followers way more than giving away $500. Isn't that right, Pete? Like, people fucking love that shit for like
all
2
you have
months.
to say is you're opening and giving up one Top Shot pack, and you could have had, the world would have been your oyster, Dave.
Yeah, well, I'm always a little slow, but anyway, get there.
No, it's a cool idea. I'll definitely, after the show, add it to the show notes here. I'm popping it in the chat as well, and it's obviously free to make an account, and then you're eligible for the prizes once you fill out the picks.
Yeah, you have to register, confirm email, just so I don't get some bot putting in 10,000 picks or whatever. But outside of that, that's it. Yeah, totally free. No cost, nothing. Just go
and then
there.
The Fed just kind of has
everything. Right, somehow I grabbed the DNA from the registration email. So again, it's $100 for sure. If I can get to 1,000, I'll put in $500. If I can get to 10,000, I don't think that's going to happen tonight, but who knows? I'll put in $1,000. So let's see. And this is to gear up for football. So week 1, I'm going to have a very big event. I mean, I'm asked a bunch of questions. As you know, football's king. I mean, it was whatever. You guys all know. People really just care about betting on football. So I'm going to offer a really, really big event then for week 1. Hopefully that gets people there, right? Once they're there, then they'll see hopefully some value in it, right? And then we'll see where it goes.
How much are you like? I'm curious. Like, just this is getting like really behind the scenes, but like, do you have like a developer that you have to tell them everything you want for like the polls and data, or like how automated, how easy is this for you to spin up for all different kinds of slates and contests?
Great question. I went for an ad hoc solution first. This is something where basically I'm doing it with one other guy. Okay. We can create a competition. I mean, copying one that we previously made, just adjusting some of the buttons or whatever, probably like a 20-minute exercise. I have a really good web developer teed up for if it blows up. Whereupon then I need it to be automated APIs to different things and stuff. I mean, for now it's just completely, we can go into the back end and just create it. But yeah. Yeah.
And it seems like for the most part, your overhead is probably, and like your just overall startup costs with this have to be pretty low right now, right?
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, of course, the hosting, then you want to make sure you have some kind of bot protection. You have to, I mean, I couldn't create I'm not a web designer. So even this required some, design work and stuff like that. But we're not talking $50,000, $100,000 yet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's way below that for now. If I create a full-fledged one connected to APIs and so forth and so on, then we have a little bit of a thing.
Let's talk about those other options really quick. So I knew you had this site. Someone sent me this email, sent me your URL like a week or two ago, and our guess was Whistles Go Woo optimizer site. It just made too much sense. The optimizer bro is going to make an optimizer site, and maybe it'll have some extra tricks and stuff. So that prediction turned out wrong. Your other idea that you mentioned briefly, let me comment on it, which is the analytics course, by the way. So do you follow Plus EV Analytics on Twitter? Pete, I think that's his handle. He does a gambling version of that. He's an actuary, and so he does, and he charges, it's like $3,000 or something. I've never taken it, but I'm sure there's a lot of good info on there. But anyways, that makes a ton of sense to me. This feels like a brainstorming, workshopping, Whistles Go Woo episode here.
Listen, I'm going to crowdsource what I should do, right? So anybody listening, like, tell me, email me, tweet at me. Let me know what you're going to do.
In terms of DFS anyway, since that's your bread and butter right now, is there anything on the docket at all? It seems like no.
So, yeah, I mean, not immediately, although obviously making cut is an input to any model not any model, but if you were building a model for golf, that's probably an important thing. If a golfer's going to make the cut or not, but nothing right now except for, potentially a course in just DFS analytics. But nothing right now. Although, I mean, some of the ideas we had here, right? Put out some initial projections that I can come up with, and then let people upvote or downvote them, right? And see where people are at.
The OA in the chat asked a question that Brian was kind of referencing with kind of fan shares model, but OA says, has Whistles thought about doing sentiment analysis with a Twitter API?
I mean, I could. I mean, but sentiment analysis of just what people are saying about different DFS plays, or sentiment analysis of what on Twitter?
It would probably, I don't know how smart these bots could be. It'd probably just be like, oh, Gabriel Davis is getting mentioned at an absurd rate on Twitter this week. It means maybe his ownership is going to be higher than normal or something.
You'd be surprised about how good these models have become on sentiment analysis and stuff. There's a lot of work on really like being able to parse dialogue pretty well. And I mean, I don't currently use any Twitter data except for the fact that, I'm looking at weather impact and stuff like that. But I mean, it's something that definitely I think people will do in the future. I think, for example, in the NBA, I think some people get a leg up by actually following specific people and really reading tweets and stuff like that. I think that's the sport where you could probably really get some advantage by having something on Twitter, but I haven't done any of that.
I wanted to add, how much obviously with, DFS, and there's all kinds of elements with projections and game theory and stuff, obviously making a site that is about wisdom of the crowds. How much of that is like a reflection of your ethos of how you feel about these games in general? Are you aggregating projections and trying to get the wisdom of the crowds and forming a lot of your DFS play? Where is that kind of intersection of why you feel the crowds are so valuable?
Pete, that's a great question. Yeah, I do. I mean, depends on the sport. Okay, so there's some sports where I build my own projections. There's other sports where I use just one site, and there's other sports where I actually just mix them together in some way. And that depends, of course, on how accurate I feel they are. And, it's also distributions are almost more important than the actual projection value. But regardless, I mean, look at what happens to the projections, especially in basketball, on the top sites. They start off very different and they end up coming together. Now, a lot of that is injury news and all this other stuff. But I think it's more than that. I think the websites themselves that everybody is using start to move their projections towards each other during the day. And that's, because they're seeing other people who are doing things on the other side, and it becomes a crowdsourced thing, right? I mean, I really, really feel that's what they do. And so Yeah, I mean, I think it's all over the place. I think the sites are already doing it. I think a lot of the players are using multiple sites to come up with whatever projections they have, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Do you worry about, like, say 90% of your early, users on the site are stochastic users, and they're just going to use the stochastic projections and then going down, and you're almost like self-selecting, and you're not actually getting like enough of a random distribution to actually harness the power of the crowds, and you're just getting a really kind of narrow viewpoint of it.
Well, I mean, if that's the projections that everyone's using, then we should know that everyone's using that. So it's still information. I mean, if it all just converges to stochastic, then great. Then that's information for people, right? But I doubt that's what people are doing. I think there's a lot of people that don't focus on the optimization side, but more on the projection side. And I think they're building their own projections. I think basketball is a little harder. I give a lot of credit to Stochastic and to Sabersim and all these other guys for coming up with decent basketball projections. I find that to be the hardest, at least for me. But for the other sites, I mean, baseball, there's so much data out there. You could build a model using a million different things, right? And not that difficult from someone who has, experience building models. So, I think it's a mixed bag. I think let's find out, right? Maybe everyone does converge to stochastic. I don't know.
Well, I guess the second part of that is like, what is again, you can't choose how people go and vote or what they're bringing to the table, but in your idealized version of it, is it just going shooting from the hip, pew, pew, pew? Or is it like, no, I'd like them to do a little research, check some projections or whatever. Like, how informed do you want your polling audience?
Yeah, I mean, as informed is better. And I think that you're right. Tiered is probably the best now that I think about it, because you do want people to know what the experts are doing and what the people that are just joining up for the first time are doing, and seeing the differences between the two groups, right? And definitely you want to have the most informed people. There's no question. So yes, I prefer to have the more people that are actually looking at things and thinking about things. So if you put a cash prize, for example, people might actually look it up online. If it's just click, and you'll see what people did, who knows?
The NBA projections, just talking about crowdsourcing, I think the value it can add, and I'm guessing here, but I don't think it's a ton. I think in some ways, in some areas, like maybe the ownership example will be more than others. And then the NBA, the huge part is, Whistle's already mentioned it, injuries. Like what's happened here relatively close to lock are very important, and like you're not going to crowdsource that. And I mean, I think just like the idea of the crowd guessing how many jelly beans are in the the classic example on the big jelly bean jar is not really going to give you a ton of advantage in DFS and gambling. I could be wrong, and maybe on the edges it could help you. And things like PGA, maybe MMA, since if a fight gets canceled, it doesn't really matter that much because then both fighters aren't fighting. Yeah. Like those sports maybe more so than others. In NFL, you got a whole week for ownership and stuff. But a lot of the wisdom of the crowd stuff for me is, I think, probably minor benefit. I could be wrong.
We're gonna find out. I don't know. Actually, is the truth, right? And I think it's an experiment, right? And let's see it. But look, if I could somehow get 100 of the top DFS players to pick a side of a bet, then maybe we have some information, right? But I even think that the general population, I really, let's find out. I actually have, I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm being honest. That's perfectly fine. But I'd like to see, and I think it'll be fun to check it out.
How do you, it's definitely easy, I think, to incentivize the casual people, like you said, with these cash prize pools. I mean, hey, it's free. It's a free roll. Get in there. How do you incentivize, though, top DFS players and the top minds to get on there with your end goal being like, hey, I want the most informed people as possible. But what is the incentive for Brian to spend 15 minutes on your site filling it out?
Share profits potentially. Give the data of everyone else for free. Right? I mean, I don't... Look, if it turns out that the data doesn't help, then Brian's not going to sit there for 15 minutes a day. There's no question. But if it turns out the data is helpful, it's 10, 15 minutes, plug, see what happens, right? And it might not be for all sports. Like basketball, Brian, I agree. This is not geared for basketball, that's for sure. That's because it's all just injury. I mean, if Giannis is in or out, I mean, you might as well just play a different game, right?
Right.
But if it's baseball, sure, yeah. I mean, if Judge is in or out, something happens. But like most of the time, it's not major players that are questioned, depending. And then golf, I mean, there's some withdrawals. Okay, fine, but that's one player, right? It affects a little bit of top 5, top 10, but not much. And so we'll see. Yeah, I'm curious. Really, this is kind of an experiment, right? I'm curious, right? Let's see.
And as Brian said, we're just ideating with you. We're not like skeptics or anything. I think it's cool that you're throwing this out there, and we're just brainstorming on the fly with you.
I love it. And I one thing that I'm also just curious about is how much do you have to pay to get people to actually do this thing, right? Like, suppose I offer no cash prize. Is nobody going to do it? If I offer a little bit of prize, is that enough to incentivize people to actually, come in and actually set their picks? I mean, we're going to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're doing it right. Like, you need legit cash incentives to get people in the door. And then how you keep them, I think, is with the really good gamification stuff. And you see it everywhere. I see it on Underdog when I play. Like, people love their badges and stuff, just showing like, hey, I've done X amount of drafts. People love that stuff. So anything you can do to lean into, hey, you've filled out for 100 contests, so now you get this profile star or whatever. Like, that shit, I think, will be big for keeping people coming back.
Yeah, and maybe that's enough. I don't know.
You know what I would do, Whistles? I would leverage your Whistles Go Woo. So like whatever the reward is, provide them some DFS something, your projections, your ownership, something. So fill this shit out.
Call. Yeah.
Fill this shit out. After you're done filling it out, here's my click and copy or download my CSV for something.
It's a good point. Or maybe I can the person who wins any competition gets 3% of my bets for the day, or 1%.
Or maybe half an hour lesson. Whoever wins the leaderboard. Something just because people are going to go to you because it's DFS, and so they want your DFS knowledge. It's just, trust me, I know how it works. People follow me when I provide them something that they think is useful to them, and that's and other than that, it's tough to get followers. It's just rough out there.
I do think Brian's definitely on to something of yes, you have a unique idea here, but your strongest asset is going to be your personal brand and kind of your stature in the DFS industry, and as much as you can to kind of leverage that. I think Brian's definitely spot on with that.
I do love the idea of trying to whoever wins for event, you get something for DFS. That's really good. It doesn't have to be just when you submit. It could be when you actually have the best picks for whatever the contest is, whatever the event is, right? I mean, for example, MLB Thursday night. Okay, we have some event up there right now. If you win that, meaning you get the most picks right, whatever that might be, you get what my ownership is going to be or something like that.
Another thing you could do, I'm sure with your connections at DraftKings, they hooked me up with a Deposit Kingdom tournament, a free roll during the football season, a weekly contest. You could have a companion, say for the Open, you have the Whistles Go Woo free roll contest, and then you're putting up some of the prizes. And to get into it, you're going to get a link once you submit the picks, and then you get into this free roll contest, stuff like that.
Another good idea. Wow, I'm happy I went on the show. You guys
exposures, give away your exposures for large field. So like NFL Sunday, you don't have to give them all away, and people can't determine in large field what your lineup's going to be anyways, but you could give away your QB exposures. So and they're going to go okay, Whistles is playing 15% Stafford this weekend. Okay, let me take a look at Stafford. And there's no edge loss to you. You know what I mean? You can just have your exposures for large field QBs or running and switch it each week if you don't want to give it all away, but people will click for that to take a look. Right.
These are, I like.
A consulting company would have charged you a lot more than giving you a free hoodie for these ideas.
I'm making money off of this. It's giving me more. Yeah, all right, I like it.
That's Brian and I's side business. Is you come to us with your DFS and sports betting ideas, and we'll help you ideate
for free. Yeah, all right, that's good.
Could you possibly get people a lesser sentence, maybe put a word in? No,
the Whistles Go Woo pardon, right? Brian's already thinking ahead to maybe some future lawsuits from his Vegas trip.
You never know.
Oh
Whoa,
wow,
we lost
Whistle's
him.
just
Wow, it's true. It's true.
oh my god! All right, Whistles,
Second, I'm
you have vanished. I thought for sure you had heard the word "fed" too many times and just left.
Yeah, I was like, they shut me down. No, I was so
Like
excited.
cold blue.
Yeah.
Well, we got a few more minutes here. I do want to. Do you have any other? How are you feeling? Just pulse check on things with DFS right now. I know we have just this massive poker boom going on. World Series of Poker with record numbers. I think I've heard the thesis that hey, a lot of people are down bad in the markets, the crypto markets. A lot of kind of edge type bros now coming back to poker. Like, do you think we could see kind of a big, massive, DFS renaissance specifically around football this year?
Yeah, sure. Hope so. We'll see. I think, yeah, no. So there's plenty of action still on DFS, which is good. I think even when I was starting, everyone was like, oh, this thing's going to fade. It's not going to fade, right? It's still very much active. There's people there every day. I mean, they fill huge competitions every night at the, $10, $15 level, $20 level. So I think it's fine. I think a lot of people are enjoying it. I think they're having fun. I think people are learning, and it's getting a little bit more competitive. I think people are making better and better decisions in the masses, but that's okay. I think it's becoming more of a challenge. For me, I'm really just excited for football season. I think that's the most fun. I think the sport I like to watch the most is golf, because you get a 4-day sweat, and that's just fun to watch it unfold. But obviously football is great, especially now that showdowns are popular. So you get so many days a week. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for football. Baseball's going well. Hit a couple hundreds at times this season, so that's good. Keeping me moving. Yeah, excited for the whole thing. I think the Open's going to be fun. We haven't even talked about anything for the Open yet. I can share a little bit of what I'm.
Yeah, I knew I was forgetting something here.
Yeah.
What do you think about the weather? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, there's not much going on, right? I mean, from what
that's not. Yeah, which is amazing. It's Scotland on the water, but.
Right, especially how it's been. I mean, the weather's been like wow. It's been such an advantage or disadvantage, for morning or start. But yeah, I mean, I'm barely baking anything in. Slight Thursday morning advantage, right? That's about it. So it really is not going to be a make or break for anybody. I don't think.
Yeah.
You know what we need to do? This will be a good, launch point. Is we can the three of us can build a lineup here. It looks like we got what do we have, a 200K up top contest, so we can use some of your guys' early research.
I feel more comfortable if we crowdsource these picks, guys.
Yes, maybe the chat. Get some votes in the chat here. I completely miss. I'm not a golf pro, but Short Gamer saying the main 25 is already full on draft.
Yeah, they opened a second one for a big one too.
It's why I was talking to my VIP rep. I was like, any free rolls this week? It was like, absolutely not. We were filling up everything. So yeah, I think it's going to be a huge. I bought in a ton already. I am probably at what I want to be at, but who knows? I mean, maybe I'll jump into a few more things. We'll see. I mean, we've got the championship, lots of qualifiers. I've already nabbed 13 at a possible 15. I maxed out into the 21 qualifier, but that's it so far. Hoping I can get one or two out of that, and then I'll wrap up for the season. But we'll see.
All right.
So why don't you kick us off? Do you got a hot take or a big stand you're making this week?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. Do I want to give my out of the top, 4 guys? Do I want to pick, or do I want to? So everybody is like talking just about Xander. He's too low price, blah, 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 which I think they did release the salaries prior to the close of the Scottish Open. I think that was kind of a mistake because they would have used that to adjust it, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, let's see.
What do you got his ownership at?
His ownership? Let me see.
Or do you not care about that?
I do, of course, care about it. So probably... Xander? Yeah, probably something like 25% or something like this, I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. Should I give you guys a value pick so we can build around that?
Whenever, frost your cookies, buddy.
Shane
This
Lowry.
don't steam might be Lowry.
Put him in there.
I mean, 9,300 is that a value?
I think so.
Okay. No, I mean, I guess I just meant by like the typical. I thought you were going to give us like a 7,500 guy.
No. I think that is a value play this week, everybody. So
Okay.
I think he's gonna do all right. I think he's worth
All
it.
right, Pete, you pick the next one.
I'm going wisdom of the crowds. The chat, give me your vote on who I should put into this. If there's too many suggestions, I'll funnel you guys to one. So while I'm getting submissions, Brian, why don't you plant your flag?
Rory.
Yeah, I love it. I was gonna say Rory, but I didn't want to be too obvious. I think he's missed one cut this year. So has Rom, by the way. I think if I'm remembering correctly, they are. If I had to, I know everyone's Xander recently, and obviously Scheffler got really hot at the beginning of the year. Still very good. But yeah, I think Rory, just for people out there, I think Rom and Rory are the plays, I think, but we'll see how it goes.
Chat is not helping me out a ton. We have a Ryan Fox vote.
Yeah,
I believe this is a troll.
yeah, he's playing, but yeah,
Oh,
you don't
he
wanna
is? Okay. Is
you
this a
don't.
troll?
I mean, if you want to just waste your money, you can take him.
Is Cody trolling me? Is this a real guy?
Yeah, he's real.
Running
Yeah.
this?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good pick right there. I love that.
Okay.
That is,
Yeah.
that is the biggest value pick. Yeah, I think that's among the biggest value picks out there. So sure,
There you go.
we
I
got
already did.
next.
I did already profiling on my wisdom of the crowds and trust Cody there, so I self-selected.
Making moves. I like it. All right. Do we want to? What do we have left?
We got 7,600 for 3 more.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go a bit lower now. I mean, I'll pick someone that always screws me, but whatever. If you guys, well, you know what? Power. Seamus Power. Let's look at him.
Okay.
74. It's right there. Yeah.
Boom.
All right. See, well, what the thing you got to think about, Whistles, and this is what Brian always wrestles with, because I ask him, like, hey, who's your highest exposure guy? Who's your flag plant? And then he's worried that this lineup is going to jinx it. So then, he's doing all these mental gymnastics. It seems like you're trying to reverse jinx Seamus Power here.
Yeah, whatever. I think he's going to be the value play. I think he's going to be owned on a ridiculous amount of lineups, and that's okay. Go for it.
I think I just saw the winner, Bezenhout.
Is this your guy?
Guarantee right there. Yeah. Pop him in there. Pop that bad boy in.
What are we left with? 8,200. Hold on.
All right, chat. A little Bryson. What happened to Bryson DeChambeau?
I mean, listen. It's not no one's going to pick him. So
he went to live.
Yeah,
and they came back.
No, they're still technically playing the majors, but that might not last forever. No one knows yet.
So wait, are you saying it? Is it likely he's going to play in this or not?
No, he's going to play. Yeah.
He's going to play. But he might not play next year's. You never know.
Yeah,
they might blackball it. They don't know for certain yet.
And so why don't people want to play him in DFS?
Because he's coming off an injury. He hasn't been that good.
Look at his fantasy points per game just right there, and that's that 46.2. I mean, 8 events, 1 cut.
Yeah, he's only 50 out of 50% making.
Are we headed toward a chalky lineup? Is that what Den's warning us about right now?
Yeah.
That is very chalky. Except Bezenhout.
Yeah,
that's our contrarian pick.
Yeah.
Probably
so
guaranteed winner though.
Galaxy brain this last pick.
I think Bryson. I don't think we're gonna get duped on Bryson, but people always watch the show. They're duping us lately, Pete. They're not respecting the "don't dupe me, bro" ethos.
Whistles, maybe if you beg the chat not to dupe us, can you beg them not to dupe us?
Don't dupe, please.
I'm not very passionate.
They're gonna do whatever they do. You know what I mean?
You sounded like a mother who was at her wit's end, caring for children at the end of the day. Like, just please finish your dinner.
Let's do.
I mean, I can make this pick, Pete, if you want me to get my favorite website up.
What's your favorite website?
Wow.
Pornhub.com. No, random.org.
Oh, so you can just.
How about this? Whistles gives you some names.
Yeah.
And you put them into random.org. Collective effort.
Okay.
All
right, Whistles. Give Brian 5 names for random.org.
Okay. Let me see. Do we like Connors? I don't think so. No, let's not put Connors in the mix. Let's do Neiman, Homa, Simpson.
Hold on a second. Am I actually putting the names in, or just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I'll give you 4 of them. Yeah, but do 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't care. Let's do 4. 5's a lot. So
Brian, how about we could use Wheel of Names here, Brian, if we want. I know it's not as technical as random.org.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm using. I don't know that one, Peter. I got the random one.
You're an influencer.
You want to do Wheel of Names?
No. I want
okay,
the.
So I got Homa. Give them to me again.
Go up a little bit. Scroll up a little bit.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah.
Okay, so Neiman, Homa, who else did I say? Simpson and Woods. Tiger Woods made 2 cuts out of 2. He's perfect so far.
All right.
Chat one.
I have to share this, Pete. I'm assuming.
Yes, because no one will trust you otherwise. We'll know
Burger
you
will
keep
make you
pushing.
different. So Lunchable said burger is a way to differentiate, and he's right.
Woods.
Give me
The
Woods.
drama,
Woods.
the intrigue.
Yeah, it's much more fun on the wheel. But,
I like your
Simpson.
it is. Sorry, guys. The randomizer god said this is Simpson. We are locked and loaded for this one. Do not dupe us. Absolutely do not dupe us. Whistles. It was great having you swing by. The new site looks awesome. I will hop over there and get in the mix for that first contest. And we recommend everybody else does as well.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Always enjoy chatting with you guys. Great ideas for me to explore. And wish you the best of luck and hope
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, for sure. And you can circle back with us. We'll just make this an annual tradition. We did last May. We do July. Every summer we get together with Whistles.
Can't wait.
All right, guys. The audio of this will be posted on the podcast feed here shortly. I need to touch base with Brian about next week. I'm going to be heading out Wednesday evening. I might be able to swing Wednesday afternoon. We'll figure it out. But anything else on your end, Brian?
No, we got actually I got my PGA ownership up for the Open. If anyone wants to go to my website, brick75.com, and we got the best ball app, Draft Caddy, Sports HUD. If people haven't seen that, we did a tutorial last week. Check that video out.
Yep, Star Kindler earlier today saying, even though Brian hates this term for it, the brick draft buddy, caddy, biddy buddy rules balls. So yes, if you're firing on underdog, specifically multi-tabling, I think you're really going to enjoy that. And like Brian said, check the show last week's lolz, where we kind of walk through a tutorial on how to do that. And we're going to be having some more updates on that later as well. So for Dave and the whistlesgowoo.com, for you guys, the chat, the wisdom of the crowds, for Brian, we'll see you guys next time.